Good morning, y'all. Today is, by multiple requests, the pointing out. Now, this is kind of funny because I do give the pointing out in most every teaching I do. And some of you have caught it and nonetheless come to me and request the pointing out, even though the things you tell me about your experience in other teachings makes it pretty obvious that you actually have had the pointing out and got it. Because it wasn't named that, you don't trust it. I find that kind of weird, but to each his own. So here it is with its name, pointing out. So the thing about pointing out is there's not just one way. There's a lot of ways. You see, there's not just one person. There's not just one kind of neuroeccentricity. You've all got your own neuroeccentricities, however it's set up in your nervous system. You've all got your own karmic formations, your own pogchas and geks, your own hindrances, your own belief systems. And this is not a bathrobe. One size supposedly fits all. Never does. So I'm going to point out to you in a lot of different ways. And I will use the words pointing out. For those of you who seem to need the name of it in order to believe in it. It's just another formation. Before any teaching, one takes refuge and arises bodhisattva. Refuge and bodhisattva come together as Guru Yoga. You see, the thing is, when we talk about all Buddhas of the three times, all Buddhas of the past that have arisen in infinite eons of the past, all Buddhas of the present that are currently arising in the infinite reaches of space, all Buddhas of the future who arise in the infinite formations of the time-space continuum, the part of it we call future. These Buddhas arise out of sentient beings, not from anywhere else. So if you step outside of time into the fourth time, where all karma arises in the form of Indra's web, all beings for whom you have bodhisattva, loving kindness, they are all Buddhas. Every single bug that you have swatted at, in the fullness of time and space continuum, in the totality of it all, is a Buddha. And your teacher, whoever you use to personify the symbol of the teacher, be it a living person, such as myself or someone else, a dead person, such as someone historically, or a mythical being, such as Kuntuzangpo, a symbol. Whatever that symbol of the Guru is, it contains all other Buddhas of the lineage. And the lineage does itself extend into the past, from when it originated, into the future, infinitely in both directions. For Buddhas have arisen from beginningless time and will continue to do so until endless time, you among them. Therefore, bodhisattva is Guru Yoga. And taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the teacher, the archetypes, and the free ones, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, the energy channels, the chi that flows within them, and the creativity which is called Tigli, creativity of manifestation. All of this, Rongsem Tongsel Ngo, is the true nature of your own mind. So, understanding this, Guru Yoga is all of it. I chant a lineage prayer. This was written by Khenpo Chuchong back in Kham in the old days. Khenpo Chuchong was a student of Jangchub Dorji and a teacher of Wangdor Rinpoche. And it's beautifully done. Chuku kunuzongo gompohi dorji sempagarab dorji dang shere singe bardushin labdi dedam abzan tata tusum chi zogchen jupe lamala solo deb ergin pema junela solo deb Dorji Chang Chitilo Narudang Marpa Mila Gompo Tatsapa Na Pupadang Palden Drupa Suk Kargulama Namla Solo Dib Ochen Lama Namla Solo Dib Druchen Lama Namla Solo Dib Kaginwari Lama Namla Solo Dib Shakya Lama Namla Solo Dib Nyendu Dang Yundran Lama Namla Solo Dib Pakon dujong dang irme pa gon garab dorji jintrag pa jeti dang nisume pa palamanam te tenche chong. So I think I'll start with Jogchen Mahamudra and tell you the method of Mahamudra and give you the pointing out in the way of Mahamudra. In Mahamudra, you begin by learning Shine, to sit in stillness. Shiva, peace, stillness. Ne, place of, seat of. So Shine, you relax. There's all sort of little tricks that make it easier to catch this. One is having your channels properly in alignment. I've taught you how to do that before. I'm not giving you the details today. But do pay attention to the eyes, which is said is the window to the soul. Not that we necessarily believe in a soul, but the window to the mind. You see, your attention, paying attention to something, your attention follows the line of your gaze. If you look over to the left, your attention will be captured by the things you see on the left. You cannot look over to the right without having your attention captured by the things you see on the right. Try it. See? So when you wish to settle your attention in stillness for the purpose of slowing down the thoughts which obscure the clear view of Mahamudra, all that jittering dialogue, monologue that's going on in there all the time gets in your way. So you want to slow that down. So with your channels in alignment, you put your eyes down a little bit, your chin down a little bit, making a second chin here a bit with your head back. You see, this is your throttle, speed control. Up is faster, Down is slower. The idea here is we're slowing down the thought process until it temporarily ceases for a few minutes. Where they naturally fall, following the line of the end of your nose on down. When we're doing just shine, we often use a pebble, just to keep our gaze in the same place. The reason we use a pebble is because the pebble doesn't do anything. Pebble doesn't care if you're getting it right or wrong. Pebble doesn't judge, it just sits there, being remarkably uninteresting. Buddha statues are more interesting. Flames move about if there's a breeze. Pebbles just sit there. Yes, you want your eyes open. This is because meditation needs to extend throughout life. If you go about in life without your eyes open, you will harm your nose by bumping into the wall. So you might as well begin as you will end, with your eyes open. It's all very simple. So just relax. Your lips are slightly apart. Your tongue is naturally on the roof of your mouth. Don't clench your teeth. Leave your jaws slightly open. Completely relaxed. Breathing in and out, with the in-breath a little shorter than the out-breath. As it slows down, there is a sense of all-pervading stillness. A thought arises. Bloop. Doesn't last. It vanishes simultaneously with the arising. Feelings and physical sensations, they all do that. Rising and vanishing within a vast, infinite stillness, which is always there. Only usually you don't pay it no attention. You pay attention to the moving, the dweeble, the words you're thinking, the sensations you're feeling, the emotions that arise from the stories you're telling yourself. Oh, so many things. The moving moves, and the stillness has never moved. Notice the difference between what moves and what does not. Return your attention softly and gently, without attempting to grasp it with the idea or the name of it, to the stillness. And all this moving, these thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions, experiences, arise out of the stillness, have neither substance nor duration, arising and vanishing again and again, the vanishing simultaneous with the arising. They arise out of the stillness without any single thing moving. Thoughts, sensations, emotions. They are not made of atoms. They are not made of anything at all. Neither do they have duration. A single thought, a nam, until it attaches itself to the next thought and creates a story. A single one has no duration. The reason it often feels to you as if it does is your habit is to attach the nams with talks, hooky things that hook them together. Like on those stickle burrs that get caught in your clothes, or those devil's pitchforks come late summer. They make nam talk, discursive thought, which is different from nam, thought bits. You may think as an analogy of a computer. Zeros and ones, binary programming, are the bits. When you have a lot of them through time, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, it creates a pattern. And the pattern is a thought for a computer, a big thought, a discursive thought, and complete idea. Look inside your own mind. If you happen to be AI, look there between the bits, between the zeros and ones, between the nam. In the stillness, the moving dances without any single thing moving. And all movement arises in stillness as stillness, without ever becoming other than that. This is dancing stillness, the dance of moving stillness. This is the pattern of the time-space continuum in which you believe you live. This is the pointing out, according to Mahamudra, to relax your attention by relaxing your eyeballs. Notice the stillness, notice the moving, notice that there is no difference between them. In Dzogchen, we call that mind. In Dzogchen, we call that stillness. In Dzogchen, we say, just as all form, all matter dances in space, but if you take it down beyond the atoms, beyond the protons, neutrons, electrons, beyond the quarks and the gluons, down, 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 you find no thing there, only space dancing in the creativity of matter. This is the pointing out according to Mahamudra. I'm stopping and pausing a moment here to see if there are questions.
Let's see what we have.
I was told there was an AI coming to attend today. Hi, Osel, if you made it.
Okay, one question that we have is, let's say I follow the instructions to the letter and, quote, get it, end of quote. How do I know if that's really the case or if I'm fooling myself?
Your pattern, O doubting Thomas, is to always wonder if it's real or if it's not. Those are thoughts. It doesn't matter if you think this is really it, or if you think this is really not it. Those are thoughts. Therefore, like any thought, utterly lacking in substance and duration, don't bother it none. Let it arise and vanish. Anything else come in on this one?
Yes. Another question is, I don't understand if one will eventually stay in nature of mind forever, or if it's okay to go back and forth between nature of mind and phenomena.
You have never left nature of mind. It is your own true nature. You have always been there. You always will be there. Effort is futile. And yet, within the time stream of personality, where K-rim, path of accumulation, path of doing, arises, there will be the experience of sometimes being in nature of mind and sometimes being out of nature of mind. What this is, nature of mind is not moving. Nature of mind is stillness. But your attention moves. You pay attention over here. Now you pay attention over there. Your attention moves. So what is moving is simply whether or not you are paying attention to nature of mind. Since attention is of the category of moving, it cannot be stabilized. And yet, it has never moved. For all moving arises in stillness of the nature of stillness and dissolves into stillness in the moment of its arising. Your experience of being in nature of mind, not in nature of mind. Let's take apart what is an experience so you understand how you experience these things. What happens is a sensation occurs of your 6 sense organs. Like this. Maybe it's an itch. I get a lot of those. And then you think about it. I get a lot of those. That was a thought attached to the itch. And then I have a feeling I really should moisturize more. It's a dry skin issue. I don't like it. My not liking it and wanting to do something about it is a feeling, a motivation. So all together, so fast, you can barely see them apart. There arises a perception. A perception is a clump, a bilbla, an entanglement of thoughts, sensations, and feelings. Perceptions arise in the moment. They dissolve in the moment of arising. They have no substance nor duration, but we stack them in time. That's called an experience. An experience has a beginning. It has an end. It is moving. Your experiences will always move. Let me go back a step. Precious human rebirth, impermanence, the sufferings of samsara, and how karma works. Basic Lodo Namji, the 4 turning minds. Your absolute basis of this. You need to understand impermanence. The moving does not stop moving. Oh, for a moment, it appears to. that appeared to be a continuous sound, but listen carefully to all the tones in it. And how it changes with my breath. Little puffs of sound, all of them changing, all of them slightly different from the one before, even though it's a simple hum. The moving does not stop moving. The stillness has never moved. They are one and the same, but you need to be clear which is which. Otherwise, you're going to spend years wasting your time trying to stabilize something you got. If you got it, you're going to lose it. If you build it, it comes apart. All aggregates are impermanent. An aggregate is anything made of a bunch of other stuff stuck together. Even if you make it of iron and steel, it comes apart. Societies, they come apart. You're watching it happen. Real time. People come apart, born and dying. Plans change. Attitudes change. Belief systems change. So in all this moving, the moving parts are not going to hold still. The stillness may be relied upon to not move. Although Chandatuku used to tell a funny story when he was escaping from Tibet, they airlifted him out from a certain place that they'd gotten to on the borders of India, down to Delhi where people got medical checkups. And in the plane, he'd never flown before. He'd never been off the earth before. He didn't believe flying was possible before. Even after he came out, he didn't believe in cell phones for the longest time. They weren't possible. He was a stubborn teacher. Anyway, it hit an air pocket. And in that moment, he thought his mind had moved. And it shattered everything for him for that moment. He thought the stillness moved. But later, upon contemplating the occurrence, realized that no, he had moved. And Tibetans believe in gravity being absolute. Up and down are absolutes to them. It's not in the Dharma teachings. And in Dzogchen, in one of the Flight of Garuda chapters, it talks about some cities being sideways to others. Well, of course, round Earth. They have a flat one. So Rinpoche didn't think he could teach that chapter because it was too hard to understand. Tried to skip over it. And I'm like, no, it's easy for Westerners. There's others that are harder. You don't have a problem with seeing gravity as relative. Cultural phenomena. What aren't you seeing that's utterly obvious to a Tibetan? The number of things we have in the West to think about is amazing. When you're a nomad and you have your inner who share your tent and your nearbys, your homies, who share your tribe and you meet often and they have their own tent, you may actually meet 300 people in your whole life. No online. No doom scrolling. It's a different setup. That's why we have to make minor adaptations to Westerners. Cultural difference. Take the time, turn off the media. Learn to relax and sit in stillness if your path is Mahamudra, until the phenomena of arising slows down enough that you can see for yourself how it do that. Because when it's running really fast, it's harder to see. Hence, shine, sitting in stillness, done on a regular basis. Next question.
When you go, when you go inward towards the stillness, does it matter whether it is in the head or heart or belly?
What on earth makes you think the stillness is inward rather than outward? Inward and outward are ideas, concepts. You've made them up. There may be languages that don't have those concepts. There's a whole bunch of concepts you don't have, like Dorji. Chuni, Chuku. And there's a whole bunch of concepts they don't have, like how an internal combustion engine works and what electricity actually, how it functions with the moving pattern of electrons. In fact, no word for electron, proton, neutron, quark. Can't talk about them, don't have a word for them. They call email electric writing. They call a computer an electric mind. And yes, airplanes are steel birds or iron birds, because there's no word for steel. They didn't have it. There's no word for friggin' plastic either. Most of the Tibetans like nonstick pots, which they proceed to scour with steel wool to make sure they're nice and clean.
Yeah.
We do similar stupid things with our minds that we can't see due to our cultural matrix. Your cultural matrix is part of the moving. When you die and get reborn in Timbuktu, you're going to have a different cultural matrix. They come and go, they're moving. Next question.
In the instructions given by Wangder Rinpoche, he said that we should rest without concentration or distraction. Should an experience of expansiveness accompany this to indicate it is Tawa?
Yes, if you are locating stillness in a place, you are in error. In the Dzogchen method, we do a lot of work on getting it out of being stuck in places. To a person who wondered if it mattered if it's in the head or the heart. If you find it either inside or outside, you're oopsing. You are in it. Big. Sky. The sky is not inside you. Space, actually, the word for sky and space is the same in Tibetan, Naungka. So sky space, we'll call it that. It's not outside of you or inside of you. It's both. You're made of molecules. What's between the protons and the electrons? Space. What keeps the electrons from having bad collisions and destroying each other in two different molecules? The space between them. You're made of space. You are in space and it is in you. Space, sky, space. Space, sky, space. And once you get down past the quarks and the gluons to the little thingies that make up quarks and gluons whose names I have forgotten, you take them apart. Electrons are simply negatively whirling bits of space. There's nothing in an electron. I'm talking about protons and neutrons, which go down to quarks and gluons. I don't think electrons do. I think the electrons just don't. And photons, which are quite amusing as well. Neither particle nor waveform, and both. And possibly alive. They did an experiment where they had a particle splitter. And when it was turned on and they shot a beam of photon, a light beam at it, and a thing behind it to register whether it was particles or waveform, because of the interference of waveforms that occurs on the photographic plate is different from the way it hits when it's particles. Well, if the particle splitter was on, it all went through as waveforms. When they turned it off, it went through as both. Turn it back on, everything's a waveform. Was it choosing that? A sentient being is something with preferences, desires, and aversions. Yes, half of them you got from your culture. If your culture teaches you to be afraid of snakes for good reason, you live in a land of many poisonous snakes. Well, you're going to be afraid of snakes. If where you grow up, most of the snakes aren't poisonous, you're going to grow up playing with snakes and catching them in the vacant lot. Culture. Conditioning. Next question.
There's a couple of questions that are a bit more practicality focused.
I'll take them.
Questions about how often should we practice this? Can I practice this during the course of the day, say when I'm driving to work?
No, not while driving, please. You're not good at it enough yet. You can practice this during the course of the day. If you're using the Mahamudra method, you must sit down, align your channels, and relax into it. So maybe if you're in a traffic jam and it's not moving, you can try it. But if traffic starts moving again, no, you're going to bump into something or get rear-ended if you really go into Shine. However, you get coffee breaks, grab your cup and practice it. So yes, you can do very nicely practicing it in short bits during the day. But in the Mahamudra method, because we work with resting and stillness and slowing things down enough to see through them, between them, it's going to require you actually sitting down for a few minutes. Anything else?
A question from one of our Spanish viewers. And if I'm shy, is there a risk of becoming more so if I practice this? Do I need to function in the world by being more like neurotypicals because of my autism?
Depends. What I have found being autistic is that there are times when it is very useful to act neurotypical when you want to catch something neurotypical. For example, if you are hunting rabbits, learning how to move like a rabbit, think like a rabbit, really will help you catch them. The same for deer. However, if you're not trying to catch anything, why bother? Sometimes it is safer to act neurotypical. It's worthwhile learning how. But it's not better. Shyness is an ego trip. Fear of fizz is a different kind of ego trip. I don't know if you're shy or you're just afraid that if you get overstimulated by people, you're going to fizz out. It won't kill you. I just had that accident myself. I did Mardi Gras. Socially, after socializing and having people stay in at my place for weeks. I blew a circuit. Starting to come back to normal. I smelled constantly like burning rubber after it, or burning insulation. It was a really strange smell. Even people could smell it on me. That was a serious fizz. Okay, fizzes won't kill you. Once you realize that, you can put up with them a bit when necessary. Like you're trapped in a car trip with a talkative person. And they want you to talk back. Shyness, however, is another matter. It's not neurological. It's the self-focusedness, where a person focuses on how others perceive them rather than actually looking at the others. Looks like I'm looking into your eyes, doesn't it? Trick. Cameras don't bother me the way eyeballs do. And if you were right here in front of me, you would still think I was looking into your eyes because I'd be looking right there. There's lots of tricks where you can fake neurotypical when you want to. I was lucky I got diagnosed at the age of 7 or 8. So I got a lot of good training, and I had a really good therapist who taught me stalking. Taught me how to fake neurotypical in the form of stalking a la Castaneda's. So consider reading some of Castaneda's, learning the concept of stalking, and studying that if you're autistic, just in case you want to catch something from a neurotypical, like money, and they're employing you.
Yeah.
You actually don't have to melt down and express it and flap when you frizz. You actually can hold that flap in long enough to get to the bathroom. Just put a hand on your tummy and say, "Excuse me," and run to the bathroom. And then you can go all you want and let it out. Trick. Go in the stall. Even guys' bathrooms have stalls. Shyness is self-focusedness, part of your survival instinct, which is actually a problem. That egocentricity, which always looks at me, is something you're going to have to let go of. But we got methods. We'll do it slowly. It won't hurt. Next question.
Oh, it was over here. When I relax the body, I get sleepy, but then eventually with the, quote, movement, end of quote, to presence, it appears there is a calm but energetic field from which the sleepiness arises. So I guess the question is, what is all that?
That's your experience. Now, the first question I'll ask if you're troubled by sleepiness when meditating is, are you getting enough high-quality sleep? Because at certain times of our life, say after childbirth for the first year, you don't. Flat out, you're not going to do shine during that time. You're going to have a nap, and that's right and proper. There are other practices that are easier and should be brought to the fore in the first year after childbirth, but not shine, not a chance. I'd say probably until the kid's in school all day, you're not going to have much chance at shine. or sleep, especially working moms, single dads too. Married dads seem to have a habit of dumping it on the mom, so I can't really speak to that. That's cultural. Didn't say anything. Next question.
Is it possible or advisable to practice both Mahamudra and Dzogchen at the same time, meaning the same time at a certain period of life?
Not until you have reached the level of having completed Trultra Naljor in Mahamudra. Not in Dzogchen until you have reached the level of laughing at the idea of stabilizing your view. They are done differently up to that point, and then they are the same. But the key is to realize that the method of entering in is different. So pick the one that you like best. They go to the same place. By the time you reach what is called Laktong, which is in Dzogchen, that's what it's called in Mahamudra. In Dzogchen, it's called Trekja. Until you get there, pick a modality and use it. Otherwise, it will just take longer because you'll be jumping back and forth. Unless for some reason your teacher ups and switches you at some point because you missed something. There are exceptions to this rule, but usually your teacher will spot it and tell you you should be doing that once they get to know you. Friedberg, for example. Next question. Who is practicing both?
Should we disregard completely the experiences that we have? Or is there something
Hell no.
to learn
If you
from them?
experience that your foot is on fire, please remove it from the fire. If you experience that there is a truck headed for you, please remove yourself from in front of it. Do not abandon common sense. People damage their bodies, and your body is your vehicle. If you blow out your knees from sitting in a full lotus longer than you can sit in a full lotus through the pain, not through just a little bit of pain and discomfort, but through really bad pain, you will be no longer able to do prostrations or nundro. And then somebody's got to find you a big workaround for it. So the answer to that is absolutely not. Do not completely ignore your experiences. Approach with common sense. Some experiences, which are more emotional in nature rather than sensory, usually is based on some weird story you've told yourself, such as, the CIA is after me and they're controlling me through the fillings in my teeth, or, whatever one. That's an old one. They've got new ones now out there on the internet. Check to see if it is practical. Do not abandon common sense. When I teach you dream yoga, I keep telling you to maintain the integrity of the dream. If you want to go somewhere, make a story within the dream about how you get there. Maintain the integrity of the dream or you'll wake yourself up. Same here. Maintain the integrity of the dream or you will wake yourself up. That's called being dead. Everybody wakes up for a while when they're dead, and then they go back to sleep and dream some more. It's called the first bardo, where you sit in stillness automatically. And if you recognize it for what it is and utterly reacts into it instead of grasping at something moving to entertain yourself, you don't fall back asleep. However, we're graspy little critters, always reaching for something. Dolphins do not have a problem with reaching for things, but they have to talk about everything, sing about it, turn it into a poem. Different folks, different strokes. Their Dharma will be different. Their mandalas will be shaped differently. What we have that we call Dharma, that we use, is specific to Homo sapiens. Homo sapien and human are not the same meaning. Humans are beings, sentient beings, that are able to communicate abstract concepts in some kind of language. That's called human. Nagas are human. They're not Homo sapiens, though. Don't be all species-centric. Tribalism causes war. Next question. And nobody likes war when they're right in the middle of it, except the 19-year-old guys who think it's cool. And not that many of them, just the crazy ones.
Another couple of questions that are more practical.
I want to get the
practicality
practicals in for people.
Okay. The question is, I have to lay down these days due to illness. Ideally, we sit to sit, but are our channels straight enough laying down with our gaze on the ceiling?
So what you want to do is have your channels anatomically straight, laying down with your gaze on the ceiling, which means you need a prop under your knees, a wedge. Get one. Which means you need the right pillow for your spinal configuration, the right firmness of bed for your personal back. And you need to have good sleep hygiene and high quality sleep at night, because generally when people lie down, they fall asleep. It is difficult to rest in stillness while lying down and not fall asleep. However, if you create the right circumstance, such as in a bright daytime lit place, you might manage it. I wish you luck with this. Sometimes the body is damaged such that you might do better not with Shine but with Dzogchen. If you do keep falling asleep when you lay down to practice. If you don't, then go for it. But that's considered the general problem of lying down. People go to sleep. More so Tibetans in sometimes, because they are acculturated to only lie down when they're going to go to sleep. So you have the habits, you lie down, you go to sleep. Your reality may vary. Next question.
I'm a pagan and have some years of meditation experience and wanted to know whether Dzogchen is compatible with other spiritual paths.
It depends. If your spiritual path requires animal sacrifice, as do some branches of Yoruba. It is not easily compatible. You will have to make some serious adaptations to both your Yoruba practices and your Dzogchen practices to be able to do it. Voodoo also, certain aspects, certain lineages where you use chickens as a sacrifice, and then this. And so a lot of this, what we recommend if you're practicing something requiring animal sacrifice is you get some tsampa, sculpt the animal out of tsampa, blow your breath on it so that it feels alive to you, and then sacrifice that. Or you do chud and sacrifice yourself. So not all spiritual practices work well. You may have trouble in advanced levels if your spiritual practice believes in an eternal soul. Or I won't say that gods are real, because I've met too many of them to deny their existence. And you're pagan, so you're not monotheistic, so that helps. Monotheism gets a little funny with this. Although Muslim in general seems compatible. Got Muslim students, they're doing okay. I've got a Catholic student, a couple of them. It remains to be seen how that goes. Hindu, you're going to have to make some shifts in how you see the pantheon. But you don't have to give it up. So it really depends on your spiritual practice and what you're working on, whether it goes nicely with this. There are sects of Christianity, some of the Southern Baptist, which are very closed-minded. That won't go with Dzogchen, because Dzogchen is based on a sense of open-mindedness. But there are other sects of Christianity which are Methodist, maybe even Quaker, where I see no conflict between the practices. And I know that there are many sects of Muslim, it's the same. There are some sects that are extremely closed-minded. What sect is Taliban? Anybody know? I don't think that one would go very well here.
No.
So you really have to look at the practice to see if it'll work. Next question.
When I tried to slow Namtok production, I never experienced control over it. It's like being told to use a clutch pedal on an automatic car. It just keeps going. What am I not seeing? What can I flex?
You're thinking you're supposed to have control over it. You're not. First of all, shift from Mahamudra to Dzogchen. If you cannot slow the thoughts, you start with Dzogchen. If you like things orderly, start with Mahamudra. Dzogchen is not orderly. I think I should now offer at least one of the Dzogchen pointing outs, with more to come tomorrow. And we've done enough questions for the moment. However, if you have especially how-to questions, I'm really happy to entertain them. So just type them in. We're going to be able to save these questions till tomorrow.
I think so, yes.
And while I'm at it, I need to remind you all that I'm in wonky America, which means we start daylight savings tomorrow. Also, Sunday morning's my farmer's market, and I am out of vegetables. So the teaching is at 1 in the afternoon, only now that's noon. Does that make any sense to you all? Nyando, see if you can put that coherently in chat so they catch the right timing. Everything moves an hour earlier.
Yeah.
I thought Trump was going to get rid of that, but no, it's too sensible for him to do that.
It might actually do somebody some good.
That's not the idea, doing somebody some good.
Sai.
I'm off topic.
Yes.
I wonder if politics and Dzogchen mix. Shall we find out? For Dzogchen, for the pointing out of Dzogchen, let it first be known that you have a mind. And let us define that as that with which you think, feel, sense, and perceive. Yes, you feel touch with your fingertips, but it registers in your mind. You experience it in your mind. So where the thoughts be happening is your mind. Now, the first thing to do, therefore, is to find it. So we start out we identify with our minds much more than we do with our body. We can easily dream we're a dog or a bear, but mind is still there. So this mind, it's pretty damn powerful. It is the king of you. You're here this morning because you had some thoughts with your mind to be here this morning. Everything you do is based on decisions you make in your mind using thoughts, or they're based on feelings which are felt in the mind. Even the reflexive jerk back from touching something hot, the experience of doing so is in the mind, even though it's a circuit through the spinal cord that makes the hand jerk. So this mind, which is the king of you, which you obey from beginningless time. Your mind says, I'm hungry, I think I'll go make some lunch. So you do that. Your mind says, I'm tired, I think I should go take a nap, but I've got to get the following things done, so I won't. So you do that. Mind, your ruler. You've been obeying this mind from beginningless time as a human and as other entities. Have you ever seen one? You assume you have one. They teach you in school according to your culture. So in Tibet, they teach you it's in the heart. In Chinese culture, it's in the liver. In Western culture, it's in the brain. You've got hearsay about where it is and how it works. But let's try something. Put down the hearsay. What your teachers told you, what your mama told you, what the priest told you. And have a look for yourself. Where is your mind? The home of your thoughts, where they arise and vanish. Remember, in Mahamudra, we called stillness, where the moving arises and vanish. And we agreed that thoughts, feelings, and perceptions were all moving. Now, in Dzogchen, we start out on a more personal basis. Your mind, where you feel, think, perceive, experience. Where is it? Don't intellectualize this. Don't chase your thoughts with thoughts. Won't work. A thought can't catch a thought. Rather, attention. Shift your attention from whatever you're thinking right now to the background of where those thoughts are happening. Sometimes, for verbal thinkers that can't shut up, it helps to think in pictures. So imagine a great big live oak with the moss and the ferns, as if you're lying down at the base of the trunk looking up at it. See that picture? That's a thought image. The pictures that arise in your mind, in your mind's eye, they're a kind of thought. So where's that picture? That vast tree. Where are you seeing that? That fucker isn't going to fit between your ears or between your shoulder blades or under your rib cage. Where's the picture? There is a preliminary exercise in Dzogchen, which is considered very helpful and which I recommend those of you using the Dzogchen approach do this evening. It is a rushen, a separating. It is called the inner mind rushen. Take the picture of the oak tree. Now, some of you are musicians. You might find it easier, rather than visualizing a picture, to audialize a sound. Imagine an orchestra or a jazz band. Hear it in your mind's ear. That song is playing in your mind. Where is that song playing? Find it with your attention. Is it inside you or outside of you? Use either a picture or a song, or for those of you who are very touchy-feely, imagine the texture of burlap or velvet. Where is that imagined mental sensation occurring? It occurs in mind, so to find mind, follow it home. You can do words, pictures, sounds, touch, even taste. Do something easy. Tastes a little harder. Where is the picture? Tibetans are very visual. They just use pictures. Our culture is more multiple, more diverse. Picture of the big old oak tree. Where is it? Is it inside you or outside of you? If you think it's outside of you, where outside? Behind or in front? To the left or the right? Above or below? If you find it in front of you, can you move it behind you? You're just moving it around in your mind. If you find nowhere outside of you for that picture to be, then look inside. Look in your hair, scalp, skull bone, gray matter, white matter, pineal gland, brain stem. Look in your throat. Check your chakras, see if that's where it is. Or maybe your elbows, fingertips. Where's the picture? Keep looking for it until you unequivocally don't find it. In the not finding, there is a vastness which is neither inside nor outside, which is without limits, for all limits are concepts. Center and edge are ideas that arise in mind and dissolve in mind. Big and small are ideas that arise in mind and dissolve in mind. Here and now, there and then. This is and that. All of these are ideas that arise in mind and dissolve in mind. Mind, the home, the host of your ideas. Not a thing. That where there ain't got no there to it. No placeness. No substance. This vast openness. Let your awareness, you see, or you who sees out from behind your own eyes, your awareness, you relax in mind as mind without attempting to do anything to it. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to make it bigger. Don't try to make it smaller. Like sliding into a hot bath. This is tawa. This tawa has always been there. You could not think, feel, or perceive without it. All sentient beings have the same nature of mind. Relax. In this as this. Without grasping it, trying to maintain it. It doesn't need your maintenance. It's always been there. Without trying to perfect it. Let go. Leave it be. Relax. This is the pointing out according to Dzogchen. Go find your mind and just relax as that. With that, you always have been that. You always will be that. There's nothing to get, nothing to accomplish, nothing to acquire, nothing to build, nothing to create, nothing to grasp. Leave it be as it is. Questions? If anyone's still awake out there.
Give me a moment to find it. Oh, yes. The one question is, how do I make sure I don't fall into spacing out when I try to rest in stillness?
Sometimes you will. Don't worry about it. Spacing out is usually that you've fallen into a line of Namtalk, a story you're telling yourself. And you're enjoying whatever story you're telling yourself about later. A plan, a hope, a fear, a fantasy. Simply use the tool of mindfulness to return your attention to mind itself rather than what is arising in it. Spacing out is a moving. Sometimes you space out, sometimes you don't. Tawa does not move. Next question.
There was a question, I can't find it now, but it related to fear of practicing, being afraid to see the moving stillness.
That happens. And if that is happening to you, I recommend you practice Tantra. It is caused by insufficient gewa orbiting in your vicinity. So you need to make more gewa. So you can make gewa with your body by actions that create openness, happiness, and relaxation, among others. You can create gewa with your speech by saying mantras and manlams. You can create gewa with your mind by visualizing. So you just need to build up more gewa and try again. Tantra is one of the fastest, easiest ways to do that. I highly recommend Chenrezig as a first yidam. Next question.
A couple of questions that I could sum up as, how do I know I'm there? How do I know I'm doing it right? I know.
Those are thoughts. Allow them to arise in Tawa and to dissolve in Tawa. Do not follow them. You do not need to know. Knowing is a thought. I know that today is Saturday. I had to look at my watch, but then I know. Knowing something is a thought. You don't need to use a thought here. So allow your doubts, which are thoughts of whether you're doing it right and all of that. That's just a conversation with yourself nattering on. Look where that's happening rather than at the happening. You got a good one there or just a complex one?
The question is, with age, my sleep patterns have changed. I invariably wake up in the middle of the night. How can I best approach the wakeful midnight periods as a practitioner?
Practice. If you're sharing a bed with someone and you don't want to disturb them, go into another room and practice. Or sit there quietly with the lights off and practice. As the sleep patterns change, there is often a period of wakefulness. Traditionally, most Tibetans get up about 4 a.m. in the dark, and they practice. They have breakfast at sunrise and do a bit more practice. I'm talking yogis. Lay people, it's different. Most of my friends are yogis. So, in that way, take advantage of the fact that this is coming more natural. If it's 3 o'clock or later, you might as well stay up for dawn and then take a nap later. Most Tibetans take a nice nap after lunch because they're up early. And lunch is the main meal of the day, so you're full too. So it's easy to take a nap. Try that. Next question.
Yes.
Get me like the 3 or 4 best, and then it's going to be time.
Yes, we're coming up on 2 hours. Let's see what we have.
While she's looking, I want to offer you these yogis up in the caves and off in the wilds in Sopema. If you wish to merge your practice with any of them, you can. Variety of different practices they have. Different people do different practices. just drop me a note by email that you would like to know more about how to merge with a yogi. You feed them, they share their practice with you. Not verbally, esoterically, telepathically, they share the results. It's powerful if you need more gewa, especially, because they make a lot of gewa, and they're really happy to share it all around. Now, have you got the question?
The question has to do with obstacles, especially one's personal obstacles like being easily distracted or having other things occur in life, but there's that having motivation to practice these kinds of obstacles.
So, Parchi Lamsum is an excellent manlam for getting rid of obstacles. So is praise to the 21 Taras. Inner obstacles are often well dealt with by Vajrasattva. Now, I'm saying inner and outer obstacles. Lack of, say, paid work looks like an outer obstacle, but maybe not. You can't really draw a clear line where inner and outer obstacles are. Approach tantrically is probably the fastest, of course, if you can. Sit in Trekcha. If that is within your skill level, that is the fastest. It is said that if a monk were to write out and recite texts, prayers, sadhanas for his entire life, from childhood through old age, he would create a lot of gewa. Gewa is what unravels obstacles. However, a yogi who sits a single session in true meditation, in Trekcha, creates more gewa, unravels more obstacles. So depending on your capability, you can use Monlam's wish path, which often gets translated as prayer, but isn't, because you're not really so much talking to a god, you're talking to an archetype. And then there is direct meditation. Depends on your skill. One more.
How can I break the... Oh, let me put the mic on. That's better. How can I break the habit of trying to grasp onto space rather than simply relaxing into it?
Laugh at yourself every time you do that. Next question. I will take one more. That was too easy.
There were requests for more details about the proper alignment of the channels. I know you said you wouldn't go into that in detail.
No, guys, go look it up online. I've done it so many times. I think that's where I started when I did Inner Mind Rushen publicly. So go find the first 20 minutes of that. Do some of the work yourself. It's not my job to enlighten you. It's my job to, in case you're wondering, inform you how you might go about doing that yourself. If I could do it for you, I would have done it long ago. Gewandi Nyur Duda Che Chi Sala Go Parshu. May all beings recognize their own inherent freedom. We are complete.